Uh, okay. Um, Hi. Thanks for joining on this Q&A. I'm really happy to get the opportunity to speak to a really, really amazing director from Taiwan called Su Hongen. We're showing a film, his first debut feature drama called Hunt Brothers, as part of EC Film Night. And we're doing it in collaboration with Native Spirit Festival, who highlight Indigenous filmmakers across the globe. And we're really excited. We're recording this Q&A before the screening itself. And this Q&A should be up online hopefully after if you're watching this. But hopefully you've seen the feature or been able to catch it. And we're really excited to ask some questions. Herman, it's really, really lovely to talk to you. Welcome.
Hello,
And
Noel,
congratulations on the feature. Mm. First of all, congratulations on the feature. I got the chance to watch it, and it's a really, really lovely, lovely feature. I'm really, really moved by it, and it's something that I've not seen before. Um, my family's sort of Han Chinese and Mandarin, and it was really interesting seeing Taiwanese culture and also like indigenous Taiwanese culture that I've not really seen before. Um, I was kind of thought I'd start off asking by what was it like to film in those indigenous communities to maybe give some context? I mean, if people don't know, you're a Taiwanese director, you're half Taiwanese and half indigenous, like on your grandfather and grandmother's side. And you've mentioned before in interviews that you've grown up in sort of like Han communities. What was it like working, doing a feature film, a sort of a drama in sort of like working with so many indigenous actors?
Um, I've before I starting to making this feature, I've already made several documentary before, so it really helps me to develop the relationship between with the communities of my tribe, and some of my family members, like my uncle, my mother's, was a local person, and they helped me a lot to invited those uh, amateurs, actors, and some of the profession actor who is also my my tribe. So it is easier to how to say it, communicate with those actors. And but there's some of the actor who's not uh, my community, so they have to learn the language from
Oh,
the beginning
right.
thing. So it's the hardest things for them, and also the hardest thing for me as well. So we have a practice before we're shooting about 3 months before, so they have they do a lot of training to speak the language of the Telugu. The name of my tribe is called Telugu.
Oh, the
It's a
local.
Telugu. Yeah, it's the 16th community of the indigenous people in Taiwan, and we are the one of it. And we
Oh,
have
I see.
about, yes, we have about uh, uh, 30,000 people in Taiwan now. So it's not very big, but it's quite some of it's a middle like middle size of the community in Taiwan.
Right. So you had to involve yourself in the community as well. I feel like I can really tell it feels really authentic. The film feels lived in and it feels like that relationship you have with the community is really genuine. The training process sounds really intense. Also, you've mentioned that a lot of the actors you work with were amateur actors. I
Yes.
wonder what it was like getting the trust and sort of like training them, and what challenges did you have working with like non-professionals and working with a new language as well?
Uh, I believe that you have seen the film,
Yes.
the mothers, who is actually who haven't been acting before, is the first time who being actress. So I think his performance is really nice, for amateurs, and it's like I can tell it's like her talent. So I choose from those people who come to how to say 试镜,
Mm.
that they come to interviews or so I choose the actress and for the professional actor, um, they have to learn the language. So we use like how to say that, the KK
If you need to
音标.
use Chinese, by the way, feel free. I think we'll do some translation after if you need to. So if
Oh
you wanna
yeah.
answer in Hanyu, feel free.
It's okay. It's okay. I can both. I can do both.
Yeah,
And
yeah, yeah.
yeah, some of the professional actors, they have to learn the language by the KK 音标, and so they spend a lot of time to practice with the elders from the communities. And besides that, they have to learn some hunting skills. So the masters bring them to the forest and they teach them how to settle the like uh, the things that the trap
The
and
traps, yeah.
the trap, yes, and how to shoot, do they fire how to fire the guns, the sort of things. And it also takes about a few weeks to do those kind of training. So I also do the things like the actors. It's really helps for me to know more like the culture things
Yeah,
for myself. So
yeah,
it's
that
really helpful.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It feels like there was a lot of research put into this. I thought I'd go back a little bit and sort of just discuss sort of coming into this film, and we've talked a little about the actors, but this is your first uh drama film. This is your debut feature drama. But you have a sort of documentary background. A lot of your previous films were documentary style. You had your first documentary feature in 2015, The Mountain, which won lots of awards, including Best Picture at the South Taiwan Film Festival. Um, I'm kind of curious if you could talk a little bit about that. I feel when I was watching it, I feel like there was a lot of that documentary background. It feels really real and presented in a very sort of like factual way and a sort of observer way. But what was it like moving from documentary to drama? If you could speak a little bit about that. Obviously, like a lot of research goes into both, but all of your documentary work touches on the same topics that you were working on this film as well. So I wonder if you could speak a little bit about that.
Mm. Yeah, you're right. You're sensitive that you see the things that I have a documentary background. Um, I think that both the different things between the documentary and the drama is like the times. I know when I doing a documentary, it also takes a lot of time, about 3 years to 5 years. But you can really do the file research during those process, and you see. Um, the first documentary of me, I shoot my grandfather, and I looked his farming life, and he doing the hunting in the forest, and I thought of those things, and I translate into like a fiction way to combine with the story that I write in the Hunter Brothers. So, um, the way I do, it's like I do the file research through the documentary, and I learn those experience and express the things in the drama way. So it makes the things like real reality. I don't know how to say that, more like 写实 to say that. And I really enjoy the way to doing the creations. So
Do you
I
think it's
think I'll do
harder to
the
do drama, or harder to do documentary, or do they have their own challenges?
now. I think the I think the drama will be difficult for me. I really enjoyed the small group when I'm doing the documentary. We only take three people, and you can capture the very beautiful things. But in the drama there's always like 30 people group, and you have to like order everything. So it's like more pressures while doing the fiction, and it costs a lot of money. And fortunately, that I got a sponsor from the government, so
Mm,
it helped me to uh, doing the like post production. Otherwise, I don't know how to finish the whole things.
mm, right. Yeah, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. That's really, really interesting. I mean, I'm also curious about what's the funding situation? Do you feel like the Taiwanese government is interested in spotlighting on indigenous topics and indigenous filmmakers and things like that?
Mm, the question is a bit complex. Can I answer it in Mandarin?
Mm, mm, yeah, of course.
OK，就是现在的状况，就是我们台湾的政府对于这种原民的题材哈、它不是一个主流，所以它通常呢一年可能只会给到一部这样子的资源啦，然后就会当然相较之下，我们的族群的创作者也没有这么多，那所以就还就是可能每年还是会有一两部的产出，但大部分的他们的主力都放在原民的纪录片上面，剧情片的产出是真的非常少，可能好几年才会有一部这样。那我觉得，呃，它还是一个需要被认识的一个过程啊，因为其实它也很直接的反映到你的电影的票房上面，因为你的人口数比较少的话，那你票房当然也不会好看，那就也会影响呃，就是台湾的政府对我们的投资，这是一个蛮现实的问题，所以现在只能够就是慢慢的在推广这些事情呢，就是我
Right,
们可
right.
以去认识我们的文化的。
Mm. That's
Mm.
really interesting. Yeah, we'll make sure we get a translation for this, but thank you for the answer. That's really, really interesting to hear about. Um, so thinking about the film itself, I mean, the I really, really enjoyed the film. If people haven't watched the Hunter Brothers, it's all about these two brothers, Yuchi and Shiling, who are growing up in sort of like a truku, like a village, like a community, and after the younger brother gets back from prison, there's sort of like this conflict between the tradition and the modernity and stuff like that. It's super super interesting and a really interesting topic. I feel like it's something I've not seen very much before, but I know it's a topic that sometimes gets sort of like covered in Taiwanese cinema and things like that. Um, there are so many aspects that were very new for me, and I feel like for people who maybe aren't as familiar with Taiwan and sort of like its background and its context. There were some things I was wondering if you could maybe talk a little bit about from the film. Um, some things I was really interested by sort of the settings that you use because a lot of the film is in the village with the family and the community. Also, the church plays a big role in the film. There are quite a few scenes where you have the minister preaching to the community. I'm kind of curious. I didn't know a huge amount about this, but obviously Taiwan is a country with a lot of colonial context. I was wondering why you chose to shoot several scenes in the church with the minister speaking Mandarin.
You mean the church things?
Yeah, the church scenes. I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about sort of like the the Christianity in the film. That's something quite new to me. If you could provide some
OK.
context to it, yeah,
Oh, can I also answer in Mandarin?
yeah, of course.
呃，you know， 现在在那个部落里面的宗教，哦，它就是台湾的原住民，大部分都是就是要么是天主教，要么是基督教，要么是有一个叫真耶稣教会，就是可能大家比较少听到。那部落里面大部分都是以这个为主。那这是因为当时的就是国民政府来台的时候，然后对不起，其实再早一点以前，就是我们被殖民统治，日本殖民统治之后，大家就对自己的原来的宗教，就是那种主灵的信仰失去了信心。然后当时又有很多的传教士来到台湾，他们给了很多的援助，所以就有一些主人，就我自己部落就有一个这样的角色，我们叫他做一个啊、Mother of the Relief，就是信仰之母这样的一个角色，他叫做对，他叫做吉王，然后他就带着大家去信仰这个基督教，所以很多主人就相信了这件事，然后一直直到现在这样。那但是传统宗教那一条线其实也没有完全的断掉，就是它还是有一些信仰还是有一些传承是有被留下来，就是在片里面有没有看到有一个像是沙门那样的角色？
嗯
那他就是这个人数真的非常少，就是他是很隐秘的被隐藏在后面的一种行为，就是大家当族人，比如说他们遇到信仰，这就是一般的信仰没办法解决的事情，比如他一直连续的做梦啦，然后有一些奇怪的身体的疾病啊，是完全没办法治愈的时候，大家就会去寻求这样的巫医来去呃做医治的动作啦。那就是那现在这个行为呢，到了现代就已经它不再是那种真的能够治病的行为，它比较像是一个呃怎么说心理智商。我们也
嗯
讲像一个心理智商的这样的角色。那我觉得，所以现在部落就是这样子，明面它是基督宗教，在暗面就是它还是有这种传统信仰的线在下面留着。
yeah. You talked about sort of like the fact that there are still some of these old ancestor traditions that
Yes.
the community still have. There was that one bit in the film that I remember where one of the Shearing's talking to the elders with his mum, and then one of them says, sort of like the spirits don't do the same thing that God does, sort of in the language. And then you have the scene with the shaman. Um, it's really interesting. I mean, sort of like obviously there's that conflict between the tradition and the modern sort of the move towards modern feelings and stuff like that. When you were filming and sort of like talking with the community, did you get a feeling for if their views and so on? I was wondering what informed your sort of opinion on how to express these different feelings. Where have you? I assume you've sort of heard them in your life as well. That different people have these different opinions about what the community should do about preserving their tradition.
嗯，就是现在部落里对于这些，就是你刚才说到一个重点，就是整部片
Mm,
其实都在讲述这件事，关于传统文化跟现在的一些跟现在的一些冲突，但它体现在各种的事情上面，宗教也是，关于对土地的看法也是。那还有对我刚才提到，就是对于家里留下来那些，就是关于打猎的事情也是，就是都是在这个范畴里面。那我觉得现在就是以前在台湾都会，就是那个冲突应该是这样的变化，就是我们就是要对抗外来的比如说不管是汉人也好，或者是说各种族群的殖民也好，就是我们应该是一个对外的一种抗争，叫争取自己的权益这样的状态。但我发现我自己的观察就是近几年那个冲突就是慢慢的回到部落内部，就是因为在这个长期的殖民状态下面，其实很多人的思考啊都被改变了。他们越来越有一些人其实也蛮接近你，就是他们觉得按照外面的世界的就是文明世界的过法，会让他们有比较好的生活。但有些人就是会想要保持那个原来的状态。那
oh,
所
I
以
see.
其实那个冲突就会回到部落内部，就是自己就是这种我觉得我的故事就是看到了这个东西，所以我就不再做以前那种我们很常看到像 台湾的塞德克巴莱那样子的，就是我们对外的抗争。我觉得那个冲突就回到内部，自己要去呃做一些我觉得不是和解也好，是再找到一个新的方向也好，就是我觉得现在是要呃讲这样的故事了。
Yeah, thank you. That's a really nice answer. Um, I really feel that as well. I feel like it was really interesting seeing the older brother Yuchi. Sort of he stays in the community, he goes to medical school, but he sort of like stays in the local clinic as well. And I thought that was really interesting. I kind of wanted to speak a little bit about uh Yuchi's wife character, Ewan, who
Yes.
Amy Shu plays really, really well. Actually, I thought her performance in the film was amazing. She gets a sort of a little bit more feature time at the end where you see a bit from her perspective. I was kind of curious about that because it's noticeable that she is the only sort of like pan Chinese character in the
Yes.
film. I was wondering if you could maybe talk a little bit about that and sort of casting her as well. It was really interesting seeing her. Oh, I'll just quickly repeat the question,
Okay.
just the end of that question, just so we can answer as well. Um, Really interesting watching you cast Amy Shu in the only sort of like the one Han Chinese role in the film. I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about that aspect of the film, having sort of like one outsider in the whole dynamic sort of thing.
OK，伊文的角色，他是真的有一个这样的参考人物，他是来自于我的教会的一个朋友，然后他是嫁来部落的一个汉人这样。那我当时就好奇说，你有没有？我就做了对他做了一些访问，就是你有没有在这个过程中有没有遇到什么困难啊？然后他就告诉我说，其实当然要融入这个部落是很不太容易的事，但后来找到一个方法，他是透过教会。他就是跟着族人们一起在教会里面做服饰啊等等的动作，让他比较相较比较容易的进来这个环境。然后二就是我就问他说，那在这个过程中你有没有学会一些像是族语这样的事情，就太鲁阁族的族语？他说没有，他完全是这样。然后就算嫁进来十几年，他完全没有办法
Mm,
学会太多，这样只能一些基本的智慧。这样。那后来，所以当我就得到，就是我做了我对他做了一些观察以后，我就开始写这个角色，然后我也请了我的就是那个演员其实是我前妻，所以我们本来就很熟了，本来就非常熟悉这样。那我觉得她也有类似的经验啦，因为毕竟她是嫁给我这个原名的先生嘛，所以嗯，后来就很直接的，就是哦，他既然他又是演员，那他也有在这个有类似的经验，所以这个角色就让他来做演出。那其实我觉得他的呃表现是非常自然的啦，因为其实我在现场的时候，其实不用对他下太多的指令，他其实也知道自己要做些什么样的表演。那呃，这都是这个过程中，我觉得看到他更多呃很有潜力的地方。
mm. Yeah,
嗯
I thought she was really really natural in the film and really authentic, and everything you say is really really interesting about that. Um, yeah, I mean, just what a wonderful film. I mean, there's that aspect with the family at the end as well, and they have the baby, and Ewan is pregnant through the film, and then they have the child, and then sort of moves to the future. The ending of I don't know whether we can. I guess we could talk about the ending. I don't know how much we're supposed to spoil, but I feel like we can. The end of the film is quite interesting as well. Um, it feels like I don't know if it's like maybe your documentary background or something, but it doesn't make a sort of a strong judgment either way on sort of like what the future should be or anything. It's quite not an ambiguous ending, but it's quite an open ending, um, and the feeling is quite unsettling as well. Um, I was wondering if you could talk about that decision on how you chose to end the film because it's not particularly happy. The main character doesn't end up particularly happy, and you sort of end with that quite that shot of the spirit of the dad sort of like walking into the distance. I thought it was really really moving. I was wondering if you could speak a little bit about that.
哦，OK， 就是关于结局的事情，其实在原来的剧本它并不是长这样的，就
嗯
它有一个比较怎么说呢？它有一个比较看得清楚的一个样子，就是应该，但后来我们在剪接的过程中就做了一些调整，我们把那个应该说在整个结构上我们都做了一些调整，所以它也影响到了最后结尾的部分。那就是我跟剪是讨论之后，我们觉得说应该要就是这种，他觉得我一开始写的结局就是太怎么说呢，有一点武断的意思，就很明确的去判断了那个价值观。
嗯
那所以他就觉得在那个状态下，其实我们可能可以再给他多一点空间，所以就把原来设定好的那个东西拿掉了，因为本来应该会是，哥哥可能会拿了枪对着自己，然后你就继续故事就你不会听到，你会听到一声枪声，但不知道发生什么事情，然后接着就有一个人回到家里面，然后看到因为妈妈也回到家里，然后太太也在，然后一个主观的视角看到他们两个，然后看到小孩这样，然后最后才会回到呃那个山上的部分，这样应该最后回到山上是那个猪的尸体这样。曾经结局原来的剧本是这样子去描述它的，但后来我们就把那个镜头拿掉了，就是呃应该要让那个情绪延续的话，就也许就是让这两个兄弟来继续
嗯
持续的呃有他们的情绪的展现到最后可能会是一个更好的结局，因为如果插出去的那个东西就散掉了，所以后来我们就做了一个这样的结局，然后也不要把怎么说，你就是观众可以去继续想象他看到的那些，他觉得如果是个好的方向，那就去；那如果是一个很写实的，就是可能最后地还是会被卖掉，那可能
嗯
也是一个非常写实的状态。所以后来我们就做了这样的调整跟改变。
嗯。How long did
嗯
it take for you to sort of decide on that ending? Sort of like from first writing the script to coming to that final ending, how long did you realize that that was the ending that you should get?
嗯，我觉得这个挣扎大概有，就是当然包含剪接的过程啊，我们大概半年左右应该有吧，就
Oh,
是一直在调整，一直在调整，然后
yeah.
嗯
I saw online that you work as an editor as well, and sort of like a lot of your background is in editing. I sort of it looks like you've done a lot of the film. You did a lot of the script writing, and you directed, and you edited, and so on. What was it like working on just a big feature in general? You mentioned it was quite hard, and sort of like the funding as well, and working with a lot of people is very different. What was the post production like?
就是这一次我就没有自己在做剪接的部分了，就他还是有，就是其实就是这一次，因为它是毕竟剧影片是一个比较复杂的流程啊，所以这次我的制片他也希望我说他可以按照就是比较仔细的分工去执行这次的工作，所以很多的时候就是我就倾向会交给专业来处理他们各自的部门这样。但最后这件事其实也让我一方面又得要相信他们的专业，但一方面又会觉得有时候就是会觉得，哎呀，还是就是不就是感觉不对，就也很想自己拿回来再处理这样。但 anyway，这是我们中间其实剪接是有换过一次，这样就是真的
Mm,
有发生过，就是我没有办法配合状态，所以就换过一次。那后来找到一个比较适合，才把它处理完。所以我们整个后期的时间拖得蛮长的，大概快1年左右吧。
mm. So
So
quite a long
对对，我
Yeah,
们
quite a long
sorry，
feature then. Yeah, yeah. Oh, don't worry, don't worry. Yeah, that's really interesting. I'm kind of, I feel like we're coming up to time. I'm just like slightly, I don't know how Zoom works that well, but we're coming up to sort of like time. But I'm sort of curious after that, sort of after this really, really sort of like impressive effort to get this feature made. What's in store next after this? I was wondering if you have other films coming up or looking for funding, or if these are the same sort of themes that you'd like to keep developing in future features.
现在我手上的话，就是我也想要再拍一个纪录片，然后我也在发展一个新的剧情片的剧本，它可能是有关那个当时日本殖民的时候。 台湾有一些人被派去南洋打仗这件事情，然后就有其中一两位是留在那个岛上，他不知道战争结束，然后很久以后才被找下来的那个故事。然后我就想写写这个东西，因为其实后来我就主题就比较去思考说，就是我们跟自然啊，或者说一个人活在世上需要什么样的一个，到底需要什么这样子的议题，所以呃，就是这些都是在发展中的故事这样。
Mm. Yeah. Do you feel like is there anything specific that sort of like I don't know what you can tell me or if there's anything sort of that comes to mind, but you sort of like done these stories from almost like all family points of view. You sort of like have films about these brothers, and you've done documentary features about your grandfather's side and sort of like your mother's side. I don't know if is that something that you're really interested in those family dynamics as well in the tradition.
就是我觉得这些家庭的事情哦，就是我想想怎么讲，就你会再说一次，我没太懂你的意
Oh,
思。
sort of like is that a theme that you're interested in continuing in the future? It feels like a lot of your films have to do with family tradition,
啊，
specifically, and the fact that all these films about the tradition and the old ways are all centered around sort of like something family related.
嗯，就是关于家里的事情，就是其实我觉得我做一两次就够了啦，因为这些猎人兄弟的时候就已经把我家里的一些我自己看过的一些事情拿出来用了，然后接下来的片我可能就可能我会找新的题材，不会再去重复用这些我们已经看过的事情了。
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I feel like once you've done all the research with your own family, it's just like, oh, that's everything. That's everything sorted. Yeah. Um, that's really, really interesting. I feel like we'll probably put this out, and if anyone has any extra questions, we'll see if we can find an opportunity for you to answer it, especially if we get anything from the screening itself. But I'd like to sort of like say thank you for taking the time to talk to me. It was really, really interesting. And we're really, really excited to part the screening, although obviously this will be out after, so hopefully everyone's seen it already. Um, yeah, thank you so much. Hongren, that was so lovely to speak to you.
Yeah, thank you, John, and thank you to all the audience. And I'm very honored for me to screen in the like England. I'm not sure what the play is, but just anyway, thank you for coming to watch the film.
Yeah, we're really, really excited. Thank you so much. Okay.